My sister whipped up cookies for my daughter's birthday and sent them along with a sweet note. Happy birthday. Have as many as you want. 3 days later, she called and asked, did she eat the cookies? I chuckled and said, your kid came over earlier and ate them all. The next thing I heard was her screaming through the phone. Happy birthday, you? Have you ever felt that gut-wrenching betrayal, the kind that makes your blood run cold, knowing someone you love, someone from your own family, tried to hurt your child? Because that's the horrifying truth I had to face, all because of a batch of seemingly innocent cookies. What kind of monster would do that? And what kind of family secret could drive someone to such a desperate act? It all started on a crisp morning in Newton, my picture-perfect Boston suburb. I was spread out at my kitchen island, reviewing real estate contracts, bathed in sunlight. My nails were flawless, my silk blouse pristine. My life, from the outside, looked perfect. Mom, I need to get to school early for sports festival practice. That was my daughter, Emma, racing down the stairs, all blonde hair and athletic grace. I handed her a bowl of granola. Make sure you eat, nutrition's key before a competition. David, my husband, had already left for work, leaving us to enjoy our peaceful routine. Emma was telling me how impressed her friend Angela's mom was with a house I'd sold. My reputation in Newton was unshakable. Properties I handled always sold for top dollar. Then my phone rang. It was my mother, Eleanor. Good morning, Maggie. How are Emma's birthday preparations coming along? I've ordered a special cake, shaped like the trophy she won. I frowned, just a little. Thank you, Mother, but I've already ordered one from Jackson's. She pushed back. Really? But mine is special. A special child like Emma needs a special cake. For Linda's son, Thomas, an ordinary cake was fine, but... Eleanor's voice was as decisive as ever. She'd been a high school teacher, and that habit of ranking students, even her own grandchildren, had never left her. Mother, please don't compare Thomas and Emma, I admonished gently. Is Linda coming to the party? She scoffed. Well, I don't know. Called her yesterday, but she said she was busy with work. It's just a part-time job, isn't it? If she'd really put in the effort like you did. I just sighed. My sister, Linda. Her path had been so different. She dropped out of college, married young, then separated, now raising her 13-year-old son, Thomas, alone, working as an admin clerk at a supermarket. I looked out the window, toward her apartment, a 30-minute drive away in a redeveloped factory district. I'd offered financial help so many times, but Linda always stubbornly refused. Her pride was fierce. She once said she'd rather take a second part-time job than accept charity from me. Mom, Angela's mom is here. Emma's voice snapped me back to reality. I kissed her goodbye. Do your best today. Can't wait for your relay race. After Emma left, I tried Linda again. On the third ring, I heard her tired voice. Linda, are you really unable to come to Emma's birthday? There was a pause, a sigh. I'm sorry, Maggie. I couldn't change my shift. Her words trailed off, but I knew what she meant. At family gatherings, Eleanor inevitably praised Emma while throwing harsh words at Thomas, or Linda herself. I understand, but I'll send something for Emma. Linda's voice became slightly harder. Yes, of course. I'll make something special. After hanging up, I remembered the bitterness in her voice. We used to be so close. When had this distance grown? After our father died, Eleanor's favorite had always been me, while Linda was labeled the child who needs more effort. That dynamic had just passed down to our children. That evening, I talked to David about the party. He's an IT executive, always busy, but he always made time for Emma. Won't Linda and Thomas be coming? He asked, frowning. Emma really wants to see Thomas. I chose my words carefully. Linda says she has to work. And it seems Thomas's grades haven't been good lately. I think she doesn't want him to get another lecture from Mother. David nodded understandingly. Eleanor really should be more. He swallowed the rest. Wiser to avoid criticizing his mother-in-law. Later that night, I sat on the sofa, flipping through an old photo album. There was a picture of Linda and me, arm in arm, laughing. I couldn't help but wonder, what if I were in Linda's position? What if my child was constantly denied and compared? A pang of guilt hit me. I'd turned a blind eye for years. Emma's birthday party was in full swing. Our spacious dining room was decorated with balloons. As catering staff arranged food, Emma excitedly showed off her new tennis racket. "Everyone, the cake is ready." I signaled David to turn down the music. Our living room was packed. Eleanor, dressed formally, had already positioned herself next to Emma, boasting to every guest, "My granddaughter won a gold medal this year." Then the doorbell rang. A delivery person. A package for Miss Wilson. Linda's name was on the sender label. I sighed quietly. I'd expected her and Thomas wouldn't come, but a twinge of loneliness, still. Back in the kitchen, I opened the box. Inside was a small basket of homemade cookies and a card. Asterisk happy birthday. Eat as many as you like, asterisk, it read in Linda's handwriting. I picked one up. They looked like ordinary chocolate chip cookies, but something about their color seemed off. Unevenly baked. When I brought one to my nose, a faint, unpleasant odor mixed with the sweet butter and sugar. "Is that something from Linda?" Eleanor's voice startled me. She sniffed disdainfully. "Well, I guess she couldn't even afford a store-bought cake. Homemade is certainly cheaper." "Mother," I said, warningly. "Linda is busy." No matter how busy, she could at least attend her niece's birthday. "You always show up for Thomas's birthday, no matter how busy you are." I sniffed the cookie again, a knot forming in my stomach. Emma had a swimming competition next week. It would be terrible if these made her sick. "I'll keep these in the kitchen," I said, placing the basket on a high shelf. Back at the party, in front of the cake, Emma was beaming. Eleanor suddenly stood up. "Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?" Oh, God. Here we go. "I'd like to tell you about my wonderful granddaughter." Annoyed, I maintained my smile as she detailed Emma's grades and achievements. "Her victory in the science competition is all thanks to Maggie's parenting approach. My daughter is truly a wonderful mother," Eleanor gushed. "Perhaps parenting is a talent. I never thought two sisters raised in the same environment could turn out so differently." My jaw. There was no reason to forgive a sister who tried to harm my daughter. Yet, strangely, my heart was filled with sadness, not anger. "Why?" That's all I asked. Linda looked up, meeting my eyes. Her expression held echoes of the hurt little girl from long ago. "Our mother praises Emma and disparages Thomas. Just like when we were children. The same pattern where you were always praised, and I was always criticized." Her voice grew stronger. "Every celebration of Emma's success only highlights Thomas's failures. Just once, I wanted her to experience a setback, too." She choked on her words. I wasn't in my right mind. I was speechless. I never would have thought Linda's years of suffering and resentment would manifest this way. But I wasn't entirely unable to understand. "I share some responsibility," I said quietly. "For years, I've turned a blind eye to this. I thought Mother's ways were natural, and even the treatment Thomas received was somehow just the way things had to be. We were confronting a truth we'd harbored for a long time." The cookies sat between us, untouched. Linda still covered her face, shoulders shaking. "I'll make some tea." I stood up, went to the kitchen. Anger, sadness, sympathy, all mingled complexly inside me. How could I forgive her? Yet I understood the years of pain behind her actions. After brewing the tea, I placed a mug in front of her. "Why did you call?" Linda raised her tear-stained face. "I regretted it. From the moment I sent the cookies, I couldn't believe what I had done." Her voice trembled. "But I couldn't take it back." "So, if no one had eaten them yet, you were going to warn me?" I asked gently. She gave a small nod. "But when you said Thomas had eaten them, I panicked. Thinking your plan might create a different victim." Linda began crying again. "What kind of terrible mother am I? I should be protecting Thomas." And yet, I took her hand. It was cold and shaking. "Linda, tell me, how is Thomas really?" After a long silence, she sighed. "He's suffering. At school, they call him the epitome of failure. Being Emma's cousin only adds to his pain." Her voice was bitter. "Teachers constantly say, 'Your cousin is so excellent.' And classmates tease him. At home, Mother says, 'Why can't you work hard like Emma?'" I frowned. I had no idea it was that bad. "He is trying," Linda's voice grew stronger. "He studies until late at night, but the results don't show. Since last year, he's been saying he doesn't want to go to school." My chest tightened. I had never wanted to acknowledge how Emma's success was directly linked to Thomas's suffering. Linda continued, "I should be happy for your success, but I'm jealous. Living in a beautiful house, with a successful husband, and a brilliant daughter. Just because my life looks perfect," I said quietly, "that's only the surface. David and my relationship is colder than you might think. He's so absorbed in his work that our conversations are mostly about everyday practical matters. And the pressure on Emma is immeasurable." Linda looked surprised. "She's always expected to be perfect." "From Mother, too," I continued. "Last week, Emma broke down in tears after getting one question wrong on a math test. She was worried about what Grandma would say." We looked into each other's eyes. Each carrying different burdens, but at the core, the same issue, Eleanor Wilson's distorted love. "Our problems revolve around Mother, don't they?" I said. Linda gave a small laugh. It was her first genuine smile. "Yes. Always." I stood up and took the container from the table. "We don't need these anymore." I walked to the kitchen and threw the cookies in the trash. Linda watched. "How can you forgive what I tried to do?" "Forgiveness may not come immediately," I answered honestly. "But I can try to understand. And perhaps it's time we face the disease in our family." "How?" There was despair in her voice. "First, I'll make an effort to better understand Thomas. I want to help him find his interests and talents. I'll encourage Emma to interact more with her cousin," I said, choosing my words carefully. "And with Mother, we need to have a serious conversation about how her evaluations affect the children." Linda looked anxious. "Do you think Mother will listen?" "I don't know," I answered honestly. "But change won't happen without trying." Our conversation was interrupted by footsteps. Emma appeared, looking slightly awkward. "Sorry, Mom, but I finished my homework." She spotted Linda and smiled. "Hello, Aunt Linda." Linda couldn't hide her agitation. Facing Emma was particularly difficult now. "Hello, Emma." She forced a smile. "Happy birthday." "Sorry I'm late." Emma approached. "Thank you. You sent cookies, too, right?" "Mom mentioned it." Linda stumbled for words. I intervened quickly. "Yes, she did. But unfortunately, they got broken during transport." Emma looked a bit disappointed, but quickly brightened. That's okay. How's Thomas? I haven't seen him at school lately. Linda looked at her niece in surprise. Oh, you've been concerned about Thomas? Yes, we sometimes meet in the library. He knows a lot about history. Emma's words were straightforward. Last week, he helped me with my report. Linda and I exchanged surprised glances. There was a relationship between the cousins we knew nothing about. Emma, I said, struck by an idea. Shall we invite Thomas for lunch this Saturday? Emma's face lit up. That would be great. I want to show him my new game, and I'd love to hear more about the old coins. He collects. Linda looked perplexed. Emma, you know about Thomas's coin collection? Of course, Emma said matter-of-factly. His collection is amazing. Especially that, what do you call it? Morgan dollar? Linda suggested. Yes, that's it. Emma exclaimed. He really knows his stuff. I felt something shift in that moment. The fact that Emma and Thomas had already built their own relationship was unexpected, and it was also a ray of hope. We'll be expecting you on Saturday, I told Linda. Let's take a new step forward as a family. There were tears in Linda's eyes, but this time, they were different. 6 months later, the early summer sunlight illuminated my backyard. Smoke rose from the barbecue grill, and David and Thomas were side by side, flipping burgers. On the deck, Emma was taking photos of blooming roses with her new camera. Here you go. Linda handed me a glass of lemonade. We sat side by side, admiring the scene. So much had changed since that rainy day. I'm so glad Thomas's photo exhibition was a success, I said with a smile. Linda nodded. Since joining the photography club, he's really come alive. His teacher was amazed, saying, I had no idea he had such talent. Everyone needs to find their own path, I mused. It seems Emma has become interested in his photography, too. That change, sparked by that first Saturday lunch, had gradually spread. I'd noticed Thomas's talent and given him his first digital camera. Emma learned new perspectives from her cousin, and Thomas learned study techniques from her. Don't you think Mother has changed recently? Linda said quietly. Yes, I agreed. I was surprised when she attended Thomas's photo exhibition and said such touching words. Changing Eleanor hadn't been easy. The night Linda and I jointly confronted her about how she treated her grandchildren had been tense. But as Thomas's talent became undeniable, her attitude slowly began to soften. We're regaining our balance, aren't we? I said. Linda squinted at the sun. Not perfect, though. I laughed. There's no such thing as perfect. Even my perfect family was an illusion. We cherished our time together now. Once a month, just the two of us, for breakfast, sharing memories and worries. Linda had also found a new job, working in the administration office of a local art college, a recommendation from me. She was becoming more financially stable. Mom, look. Emma approached, showing me her camera screen. I took this using the composition Thomas taught me. I admired the perfectly composed flower photograph. That's wonderful, Emma. Thank you, Thomas, she called toward the garden. Thomas, who had been grilling, waved shyly. He stood with more confidence now, smiled more often. Everyone, dinner is ready. David called, and the whole family gathered around the table. I etched this scene in my heart. Not perfect, no, but a family that had confronted the truth. The cookie incident had brought long-hidden issues to the surface and given us the courage to face them. Perhaps a true family isn't about competing for perfection, but accepting each other's imperfections and supporting one another. Linda placed her hand on my shoulder, and we smiled at each other. As sisters. As mothers. And above all, as human beings. This journey, it was messy, heartbreaking, and ultimately, healing. It made me wonder, have you ever had a moment where a family secret or a painful truth finally surfaced, changing everything you thought you knew? How did you navigate it? I'd really love to hear your stories in the comments below, ***.